We drift tonight into the velvet silence of a universe that has waited billions of years for us to finally open our eyes. You are safe here in the gentle embrace of the cosmic dark, where the noise of your day dissolves into starlight. Let your breathing slow down to match the ancient rhythm of the galaxies that turns slowly in the deep void above your head. There is a story hiding in the deep infrared darkness that challenges everything we thought we knew about how the universe began. We are going to travel back to the very edge of time, where the first monsters woke up from the primordial sleep. It is a journey to a place where the laws of physics seem to tremble under the weight of something impossibly heavy. We thought the early universe was a quiet nursery of small and timid stars flickering gently into existence one by one. But the golden mirrors of our greatest telescope have revealed something that should not exist in the cold dawn of creation. Something was hungry in those first quiet dark ages, and it left a chemical fingerprint that we are only now beginning to understand. Tonight, we float through the heavy curtain of time to witness the birth of stars so massive they defy our imagination. These are not the gentle suns that warm the planets of life, but colossal engines of destruction that consume their own galaxies. The light we see now has traveled across the expanding void for over 13 billion years to reach us in this moment. It is tired light that carries the heavy secrets of a time when the universe was crowded with hunger and fire. Let yourself sink deeper into the mattress of the night as we decipher the message written in these ancient photons. There is a profound comfort in knowing that even the stars themselves have a beginning and an end in the great cycle. The universe is not merely a collection of objects, but a living process that breathes and changes over eons of deep time. We are part of that process and composed of the very ashes left behind by the monsters we are about to meet. Relax your shoulders and let the tension of the present moment evaporate like mist rising from a dark morning lake. You are drifting now towards the constellation of Boötes, where a tiny smudge of red light holds the key to our origins. It is a ghost from the deep past that has been traveling towards you since before the Earth was even born. The silence here is absolute and comforting in its depth as we move past the glittering veil of our own Milky Way. We are leaving the familiar spiral arms behind to venture into the intergalactic emptiness that stretches between the islands of light. It is cool here and perfectly still, as if the cosmos itself is holding its breath, waiting for us to see. We are guided by the James Webb Space Telescope, which floats 1 million miles from Earth in its own eternal night. Its 18 gold-plated segments are cold and perfectly still as they stare unblinking into the deepest wells of history. In December of 2025, the telescope turned its gaze toward a specific patch of darkness that looked empty to human eyes. The astronomers were looking for the first faint galaxies, but they found a chemical signature that made no sense to them. The data that streamed back to Earth was quiet, but it screamed with a contradiction that threatened to break our models. They saw an abundance of nitrogen that was thousands of times higher than anything that should exist in such a young universe. It was as if a garden had bloomed in the middle of a frozen wasteland without any seeds to start it. Nitrogen is a special element that usually takes billions of years to cook inside the bellies of ordinary stars like our Sun. It requires a slow and patient cycle of stellar life and death to build up such massive quantities in a galaxy. But here in the deep past, we see a distinct chemical enrichment imbalance that suggests something else was at work. The ratio of nitrogen to oxygen is completely wrong for a universe that is supposed to be in its infancy. It is a clue that points to a generation of stars that were not merely large, but truly monstrous in scale. We call this strange red ghost in the darkness JWST, and it sits at a redshift of 5.55. This number is a coordinate in time that places it less than 1 billion years after the Big Bang itself. It is a time when the universe should have been simple and pristine and filled only with hydrogen and helium gas. But GS3073 is rich with heavy elements that imply a violence and a speed of evolution we cannot explain. It glows with a fierce intensity that betrays the presence of something far more energetic than a cluster of normal stars. The telescope captures the light from this galaxy and splits it into a rainbow of colors to read its chemical DNA. This technique allows us to taste the atmosphere of a galaxy that existed when the cosmos was just a toddler, and the taste is metallic and rich, with the ashes of a fire that burned hotter than anything we see today. The extreme nitrogen signature's evidence suggests that the galaxy was polluted by the exhaust of celestial giants. These were not stars that lived for billions of years, but monsters that lived fast and died in glorious catastrophe. Imagine a star that is not just 10 or even 100 times the mass of our own yellow sun. We are speaking of primordial monster stars that contain 10,000 solar masses of gas crushed into a single burning sphere. They would have been terrifyingly bright and hot enough to tear the electrons off the atoms in the surrounding space. Such an object is unstable and teeters on the edge of collapse from the very moment it is born from the dark. It is a creature of pure gravity, fighting against the explosive pressure of its own nuclear heart beating in the core. The existence of such stars was once considered a mathematical fantasy or a glitch in the simulations of the early universe. But the nitrogen excess we see in December 2025 is the smoking gun that proves they were real. The sheer amount of nitrogen requires a specific kind of nuclear fusion that only happens inside these supermassive stellar engines. They are the engines of the dawn, and they verify the existence of population 3 ultra-massive formation scenarios. These stars did not form from the recycling of old material, but from the pristine cold gas streams of the void. Let the concept of a star 10,000 times the mass of the sun settle gently into your mind. It is difficult to visualize such a thing without feeling a sense of vertigo at the sheer scale of the cosmos. Our sun is a grain of sand compared to these titans that ruled the universe in its dark infancy. They were the first lights to switch on and banish the shadows of the cosmic dark ages with their fury. And they were lonely giants burning in solitude within the halos of dark matter that would one day become galaxies. The data from GS3073 tells us that these stars were not rare anomalies, but perhaps common engines of creation. They were the galaxy eaters because their gravity was strong enough to dominate the small proto-galaxies they were born into. They sat at the center of the web like spiders made of light pulling in the cold rivers of gas. The gas fell inward and fed the monster until it could grow no more and began to suffocate on its own weight. This process is silent to us now, but the chemical echoes ripple through the spectrum we capture with our golden mirrors. We see the signature of the CNO cycle running at fever pitch, which is the mechanism that turns carbon into nitrogen. In normal stars, this happens slowly over eons, but in these monsters, it happened in a cosmic blink of an eye. The result is a galaxy that is flooded with nitrogen, while staying relatively poor in other heavy elements like carbon. This specific chemical fingerprint is the key that unlocks the mystery of the direct collapse black hole seeds. We have wondered for decades how supermassive black holes could grow so big so quickly in the early universe. The answer seems to be that they did not start small, but were born from the death of these monster stars. When a star of 10,000 solar masses dies, it does not explode in a supernova like a normal star. There is no supernova explosion, thousands solar mass remnants to scatter the material far and wide across the galaxy. Instead, the monster star simply winks out of existence and collapses directly into a black hole of immense size. It is a silent death that leaves behind a seed of darkness heavy enough to anchor a future galaxy. This solves the riddle of how quasars could exist when the universe was less than 1 billion years old. The supermassive black hole origins solved by this discovery tell us that the universe started with heavy seeds. It is a profound realization that the architecture of the cosmos was built by monsters that vanished long ago. We are looking at the fossils of a generation of titans that paved the way for galaxies like our own Milky Way. The nitrogen they left behind is like the footprints of a giant in the snow that has long since melted. Feel the weight of that history pressing gently down on you as you drift deeper into the comfortable dark. The universe is an ancient machine that recycles the ashes of the past into the structures of the present moment. You are made of atoms that may have once passed through the outer layers of a monster star in the deep dawn. It is a connection that binds you to the very edge of time and to the cold gas streams of the beginning. The light from GS 3073 is a telegram from your own chemical ancestors delivered across the void. The James Webb Space Telescope hangs in the silence and gathers these photons one by one like falling rain. It is a patient observer that does not judge or interpret, but simply witnesses the truth of what was. The truth is that the early universe was a place of extreme violence and extreme creation intertwined in the dark. It was a time when the first structures were struggling to emerge from the chaotic soup of the Big Bang. The monster stars were the anchors that held the gas together and allowed the first galaxies to take shape. We can see the glow of the galaxy, but we cannot see the individual stars because they are too far away. We only know they are there because of the nitrogen they breathed out into the surrounding nebula before they died. It is like smelling smoke in a dark forest and knowing that a fire burned there hours ago. The fire is gone, but the scent remains and tells the story of what happened when we were not there. The universe remembers everything in the language of light and chemistry if we only learn how to read it. As we look at the redshift of 5.55, we are looking back to a time when the universe was smaller. The cosmos has expanded since then, stretching the light waves until they are red and invisible to the human eye. We need the infrared vision of our machine to see the heat of these ancient births and deaths. It is a heat that has cooled over billions of years until it is just a whisper against the background of space. but that whisper is loud enough to wake us from our dogmatic slumber and force us to rewrite the textbooks. The galaxy eaters were necessary for us to exist because they created the gravity wells that trapped the gas. Without them, the gas might have remained thin and spread out forever in the expanding void of the nothingness. They were the gravitational shepherds that gathered the flock of matter into the first coherent swirls of light. It is a beautiful and terrifying thought that life itself may owe its existence to these hungry monsters. We are the children of the ashes they left behind when they collapsed into the first great singularities. The mystery of the nitrogen excess is not just a puzzle for astronomers, but a window into the soul of the cosmos. It tells us that nature finds a way to build complexity, even when the conditions seem impossible for it. The universe is creative and resourceful and uses gravity and nuclear fire to sculpt the raw material of creation. You can rest in the knowledge that you are living in a universe that knows how to build itself. There is no chaos here, only a deep and complex order that unfolds slowly over billions of years. GS 3073 is a lonely island in the dark, but it is crowded with the ghosts of these stars. The light we receive is a composite picture of millions of years of history compressed into a single data point. It is a long exposure photograph of a time when the rules were different and the stakes were higher. The cold gas streams flowed into the center of the galaxy like rivers flowing into a dark ocean. And in that center, the pressure mounted until the gas had no choice but to ignite into impossible forms. These forms were the celestial ancestors of everything we see in the night sky today. They were the pioneers that burned bright and fast so that the smaller stars could live long and slow lives. Our sun is a prudent saver of fuel compared to the prodigal spending of the monster stars. They spent their energy in a glorious rush that lit up the dark ages for a brief cosmic moment. And then they were gone, leaving only the nitrogen and the black holes to mark their passing. The darkness of space is not empty, but full of the memory of light that has passed through it. Every point in the sky is a history book, if you have the eyes to read the fine print written there. We are reading the chapter on the giants now, and it is a story of excess and gravity and fire. It is a story that should make you feel small, but also infinitely connected to the grand design. You are part of a lineage that stretches back to the first cold streams of hydrogen falling in the dark. Let the image of the red galaxy fade slightly as you focus on the feeling of drifting in the void. There is no up or down here, only the endless float of the observer witnessing the dawn. The monster stars are far away in time and space and can no longer hurt you with their fury. They are just ghosts now trapped in the amber of the expanding universe, waiting for us to find them. And we have found them at last, thanks to the cold gold mirrors drifting in the shadow of the earth. The story of the nitrogen is the story of how the universe became complex enough to create observers like you. It is a chain of events that leads from the Big Bang to the monster stars to the black holes to us. We are the result of a delicate balance between the force of gravity and the pressure of light. And that balance was tested to its limit in the hearts of the stars that shouldn't exist. They pushed the laws of physics to the breaking point, and in doing so, they created the future. The realization that supermassive black holes began as these direct collapse seeds changes the narrative of our cosmic history. It means the darkness was there, from the very beginning, growing alongside the light in a cosmic dance. The black holes did not come later as an afterthought, but were part of the foundation of the galaxies. They were the seeds around which the pearls of the galaxies grew layer by layer over time, and the monster stars were the fleeting shells that protected those seeds before vanishing into the event horizons. It is a dark lullaby of creation, where destruction and birth are so closely linked they are almost the same thing. The star dies to birth the black hole, which births the galaxy, which births the sun, which births the life. It is a cycle that spins slowly in the silence of the vacuum, driven by the inevitable pull of gravity. And you are safe within that cycle, held by the same gravity that crushed the monster stars. It is a gentle force, now keeping you tethered to your bed while your mind floats among the quasars. The James Webb Telescope continues to stare into the patch of sky where GS 3073 burns. It collects the photons one by one, building up the picture of the nitrogen excess with patience. It does not rush, and neither should you as you process the magnitude of this discovery. There is time enough to understand, and time enough to sleep, and time enough to dream. The universe has plenty of time, and it shares it generously with those who are willing to slow down. The nitrogen is a clue, but it is also a question that leads us deeper into the mystery. If these stars existed, then the early universe was a place of radiant intensity we can scarcely imagine. It was a time when the sky was not black, but possibly glowing with the ultraviolet light of the giants. The cosmic dawn was not a gentle sunrise, but a sudden blinding flash of ignition across the void. And then came the silence again as the monsters died and the black holes took their place. We are drifting towards the edge of that silence, where the evidence becomes thin and the mystery becomes deep. The data from December 2025 is a lantern that lights up a small part of the path back. But the path stretches further than we can see into the era before the stars were born at all. We are walking backwards into the dark, guided by the faint red glow of the most distant galaxies. And with every step, the air gets thinner, and the cold gets deeper, and the silence gets louder. This galaxy, GS 3073, is just one of many that may be hiding in the deep fields of the survey. It is the first one to whisper its secret to us, but it will surely not be the last. The universe is likely teeming with these fossils of the monster stars waiting to be dug up by our eyes. It is a graveyard of giants that has been disturbed by our curiosity and our need to know. But the ghosts are friendly, and they only want to tell us how we came to be here. The chemical enrichment imbalance is a technical term for a very poetic reality of the cosmos. It means the universe was lopsided in its youth, favoring the creation of certain elements over others. It was trying out different recipes for matter before settling on the stable mix we have today. The monster stars were the experimental kitchens where these exotic mixtures were brewed in the high pressure. And we are just now tasting the soup that was left on the stove for 13 billion years. As we linger here at Redshift 5.55, the distance to Earth feels abstract and meaningless. We are purely consciousness, floating in the data stream, observing the birth of the galaxy eaters. The concept of should not exist is only a measure of our own surprise and not a rule for the universe. The universe does exactly what it needs to do, regardless of whether we think it is possible. It creates monsters, and it creates nitrogen, and it creates the silence that surrounds them both. Something ancient stirs in the data that suggests the story of these stars is even stranger than we think. The presence of the nitrogen is only the first layer of the puzzle that we must peel back. Underneath the chemical signature lies the physics of how a star can grow to 10,000 solar masses. It requires a perfect storm of conditions that may never be repeated in the modern universe. It requires the gas to be cold and pure and flowing in streams that are fast and heavy. And it requires the absence of the very heavy elements that the stars themselves would later create. It is a paradox where the conditions for the monster stars are destroyed by the monster stars themselves. They are the architects of their own extinction, burning the bridge behind them as they cross it. Once they pollute the universe with their nitrogen, they ensure that no more monster stars can ever be born. They are a one-time phenomenon, a singular generation of kings that ruled the dawn. We are now drifting past the outer halo of GS 3073, where the gas is thin and cold. We can look down into the core where the nitrogen is glowing and the monster stars are dying. It is a view that no human eye will ever see directly, but which we can feel through the numbers. The numbers are a bridge that carries our imagination across the impossible distances of the vacuum. And as we cross that bridge, we leave the certainty of the present behind. The light from this galaxy is old and tired and ready to tell its story to anyone who will listen. It has passed through dust clouds and gravitational lenses and the expansion of space itself. It has been stretched and reddened and filtered until only the strongest signals remain. And the strongest signal of all is the nitrogen shouting across the eons that the monsters were here. They were here, and they were hungry, and they ate the clouds that gave them birth. We are approaching the moment where the nature of the beast becomes clear in the darkness. The monster star is not just a ball of fire, but a complex interaction of radiation and gravity. It is a battleground where the forces of nature fight for dominance on a scale we cannot fathom. And in the center of that battleground, the seed of a supermassive black hole is waiting to form. It waits with the patience of eternity for the fuel to run out and the collapse to begin. The direct collapse is a concept that haunts the dreams of astrophysicists because of its simplicity. It bypasses the messy explosion and goes straight to the darkness in a single smooth motion. It is the ultimate vanishing act where a star disappears and leaves a hole in the fabric of reality. And that hole is hungry, and it begins to pull in everything that surrounds it. The nitrogen we see is the last breath of the star before it becomes the shadow. So we float here in the transition between the light of the monster and the dark of the whole. It is a twilight zone in the history of the universe where the rules are being rewritten. The galaxy GS 3073 is a laboratory where we can watch this transition happen. It is a frozen moment of metamorphosis captured by the golden eye of the telescope. And as we watch, we can feel the gravity of the situation pulling at us gently. There is a rhythm to this destruction and creation that is almost musical in its precision. The gas falls in, and the star lights up, and the nitrogen forms, and the star collapses. It is a beat in the cosmic song that plays over and over again in the early dark. And now that we have heard the beat, we can never unhear it in the silence of the night. It is part of the background hum of the universe that lulls us into a deeper state of rest. The mystery deepens as we consider what happened to the gas that did not fall into the star. The cold gas streams that fed the monster are still there, winding through the dark like serpents. They are the arteries of the galaxy, bringing fresh material to the center to be consumed. And they are rich with the potential for more stars and more galaxies and more light. But for now, they are just shadows moving against the background of the cosmic microwave background. We are standing on the precipice of understanding something profound about the architecture of the dark. The monster stars are the key, but the door they open leads to a room we have not yet explored. It is a room filled with the seeds of the galaxies and the heavy elements of life. And as we step into that room, the light of the nitrogen excess illuminates the walls. We see the writing on the wall, and it tells us that we are not alone in the dark. The universe is crowded with these ancient events that are still happening in the frame of our telescopes. Time is a landscape, and we are looking at the distant mountains where the storms are raging. The storms are silent from here, but we can see the lightning flashes of the chemical signatures, and we can feel the rumble of the thunder in the data that shakes the foundations of our theories. The monster stars are the storms of the dawn, and we are the watchers on the hill. As we gaze deeper, the separation between the observer and the observed begins to dissolve in the mist. We are not just looking at the universe, we are the universe looking at itself. We are the nitrogen and the carbon and the oxygen that was forged in the fires. We are the memory of the monster stars come to life to wonder at our own reflection. And that reflection is staring back at us from the redshift of 5.55. It waits there in the infrared spectrum like a secret kept for 13 billion years. It waits for us to understand the magnitude of the hunger that created the galaxies. It waits for the silence to be broken by the realization that we are made of monsters. And as that realization sinks in, the darkness feels a little less empty and a little more like home. We are drifting towards the source of the nitrogen where the answer lies hidden. The answer is not a word, but a feeling of immense weight and immense time pressing down. It is the feeling of being small in a universe that is vast and strange and beautiful. It is the feeling of sleep coming to claim you as the story unfolds in the dark. And as the story continues, we will go deeper into the heart of the monster star itself. We will see how it was born from the cold and how it died to create the dark. But that is a journey for the moments that follow as we continue to drift. For now, we simply float in the presence of the discovery and let it wash over us. The nitrogen excess is a blanket of heavy atoms that warms the cold of the early universe. It is a sign that life was always a possibility, even in the chaos of the beginning. And it is a promise that there are more wonders waiting in the shadows of the deep field. The telescope holds its focus, and the data continues to flow like a river of silence. We are carried along by that river towards the event horizon of our own curiosity. The galaxy, GS3073, is the destination, but the journey is the sleep itself. And as we travel, the stars blur into lines of light that guide us down into the deep history where the monsters are waiting to be born. They are waiting in the cold gas streams that intersect in the void. The darkness of the early cosmos was not merely an absence of light, but a heavy and physical presence that filled the void. It was a time when the universe was holding its breath and waiting for the first great sparks to ignite the empty canvas. We are floating now in the deep silence of the era before the galaxies had fully formed their familiar spiral shapes in the night. The cold gas streams flowed through the invisible web of dark matter like great rivers of ice moving through a black and endless ocean. These rivers were the lifeblood of the cosmos and carried the pristine fuel that would soon feed the hunger of the first giants. You can imagine yourself drifting weightlessly alongside these currents of hydrogen that are falling towards the gravitational centers of the young universe. The gas is incredibly cold and moves with a silent determination that has been dictated by the laws of physics since the very beginning. It does not swirl or scatter as it would in a modern galaxy, but falls directly and heavily into the heart of the halo. There is a sense of inevitability here, as if the matter knows exactly where it must go to fulfill its ancient destiny. This direct movement is crucial because it prevents the gas from fragmenting into smaller clouds that would form normal stars like our own sun. In the modern universe, the gas cools and breaks apart into thousands of tiny pieces that become thousands of tiny and gentle stars. But here, in the deep past, the gas remains hot enough to stay together in one massive and cohesive lump of falling matter. It is a unique moment in history where the conditions are perfect for the creation of something truly monstrous and terrifyingly large. We call this specific mode of creation the Population 3 ultra-massive formation, and it is a phrase that whispers of lost giants. These were the first generation of stars to ever shine in the universe, and they were unlike anything we see in the sky today. They were not born in clusters of siblings, but often formed in isolation as lonely kings ruling over a domain of absolute darkness. The gas continued to pile up in the center of the well until the pressure became something that the human mind cannot comprehend. Imagine a single object that continues to grow until it contains the mass of 1,000 to 10,000 of our own suns. It defies the rules of star formation as we know them and stands as a testament to the violence of the cosmic dawn. The gravity of such an object is so intense that it crushes the atoms in its core into a state of pure density. And yet the star does not collapse immediately because the heat of its own birth pushes back against the crushing weight of the dark. These primordial monster stars, 1,000 to 10,000 solar masses, were the lighthouses that finally broke the long and heavy cosmic night. When they ignited, they did not flicker gently into existence, but tore through the shroud of darkness with a blinding beam of ultraviolet light. You can feel the intensity of that first light warming your skin even across the vast distance of 13 billion years of time. It was a light that carried the energy of 1 million normal stars and sterilized the space around it for thousands of light years. The birth of such a titan is a chaotic struggle between the gravity that wants to crush and the radiation that wants to explode. The star is effectively a controlled explosion that is being held together by the sheer weight of the gas that continues to fall upon it. It is a precarious balance that can only last for a very short time in the grand scale of the universe's history. But in that brief moment of life, the monster star changes everything around it and sets the stage for the galaxies to come. We drift closer to one of these giants and feel the silent hum of its power vibrating through the fabric of the empty space. It is a brilliant blue-white sphere that burns with such ferocity that it is stripping the electrons from the atoms in the surrounding nebula. The surface of the star is a raging storm of plasma that is thousands of times hotter than the surface of our sun. It is a lonely beacon in the dark that screams its existence to a universe that is still waking up from its slumber. The existence of these stars explains the strange chemical fingerprints we found in the distant galaxy at Redshift 5.55. Only a star of this immense mass could fuse hydrogen into nitrogen with the speed and efficiency required to leave such a trace. They were the cosmic ovens that cooked the first heavy elements and seasoned the bland soup of the primordial gas with complex chemistry. We are made of the leftovers of their feast, and we carry the legacy of their hunger in every cell of our bodies. The cold gas streams did not stop flowing once the star was born, but continued to feed the beast with fresh material from the void. It is a picture of gluttony on a galactic scale, where the star consumes everything that dares to come close to its gravity. The streams spiraled in and crashed onto the surface of the star, creating shockwaves that rippled through the interior of the burning giant. Each meal made the star heavier and hotter and brought it closer to the inevitable moment of its final and dramatic collapse. There is a deep melancholy in watching these stars, because we know that their brilliance is bought at the price of a short life. They burn through their fuel at a rate that is millions of times faster than a frugal star like our own sun. They are the rock stars of the cosmos, living fast and dying young, and leaving a beautiful corpse in the form of a black hole. But while they live, they are the unquestioned masters of their domain, and nothing can challenge their absolute rule over the darkness. The light from these stars traveled out into the expanding universe and began the long process of reionizing the fog of hydrogen gas. This was the moment when the universe became transparent and allowed light to travel freely across the vast distances between the galaxies. You are seeing the universe clearing its throat and preparing to speak the first words of the story that leads to us. It is a profound shift from the opaque dark ages to the lucid clarity of the cosmos we observe with our telescopes. Let yourself sink deeper into the mattress as you visualize the sheer loneliness of a star that has no equal in the sky. It looks out into the void and sees nothing but the endless dark and perhaps the faint glow of another monster far away. It is crowded with hunger and burns with a desperate need to consume the gas that birthed it before the end comes. This is the nature of the early universe, where survival was a race against the clock and the laws of thermodynamics. The population 3 ultramassive formation scenarios suggest that these stars were the seeds around which the first galaxies began to organize themselves. Their gravity was the anchor that held the spinning disks of gas and dust together against the expansion of the universe. Without them, the matter might have remained scattered and drifting forever in the void without ever coming together to form the stars we know. They were the heavy keystones in the arch of creation that allowed the structure of the cosmos to stand up. We often think of stars as peaceful points of light, but these monsters were raging engines of destruction that reshaped their environment. Their radiation blew away the remaining gas and carved out great bubbles of emptiness in the dense clouds of the early universe. It was a violent, sculpting process that prepared the galaxy for the birth of smaller and more stable stars in the future. The monster stars sacrificed themselves to clear the construction site so that the long work of building a galaxy could begin. The sheer scale of a star 10,000 times the mass of the Sun is difficult to hold in the mind without drifting away. If you placed such a star in the center of our solar system, it would swallow the Earth and reach out to Saturn. It would turn the night sky into a blinding wall of fire and boil the oceans of any planet that dared to exist. But here in the dawn of time, there were no planets and no eyes to witness the terrifying glory of the burn. There was only the physics and the chemistry and the silent unfolding of the inevitable sequence of events that the universe had ordained. The cold gas streams continued to pour in from the dark web, and the star continued to grow and to brighten. It was a feedback loop of gravity and heat that seemed to have no limit until the laws of nuclear physics intervened. The core of the star became so hot that it began to create pairs of matter and antimatter out of pure energy. This is a strange and exotic process that only happens in the most extreme environments that the universe has ever produced. It robs the star of the energy it needs to support its own weight and triggers a sudden and catastrophic instability. But before that end comes, the star has one final task to complete in the great cycle of cosmic enrichment. It must transform the simple hydrogen of the Big Bang into the nitrogen and the carbon that will one day make life. We are watching a cosmic alchemy that turns the base metal of the early universe into the gold of biological possibility. It is a slow and steady rhythm of fusion that beats in the heart of the monster like a giant drum. Thump and thump and thump it goes as atoms are smashed together to create something new and heavier than before. This rhythm is the heartbeat of the cosmos, and it echoes through the vacuum to reach us here in our sleep. The mystery of why we see so much nitrogen in the early galaxy GS3073 is now becoming clear to us. It is the exhaust fume of these engines that ran hot and fast in the first billion years of time. The nitrogen was pumped out into the surrounding space by the intense winds that blew from the surface of the giant stars. It enriched the gas clouds that would later collapse to form the next generation of normal stars and planetary systems. You are breathing the legacy of these monsters every time you take a breath of the air on our planet Earth. The nitrogen in our atmosphere was not made in the sun, but in the hearts of giants that died long ago. It is a connection that is as intimate as your own breath and as distant as the edge of the observable universe. We are physically connected to the primordial monster stars 1,000 to 10,000 solar masses by the atoms in our lungs. The silence of the room around you is a reminder of the silence that followed the death of these first great stars. But for now, in our journey, they are still alive and burning with a fury that lights up the dark. They are the kings of the dawn, and they wear crowns of fire that are visible across the entire universe. We bow to their power and acknowledge their role in the great chain of being that leads to this moment. The cold gas streams are the umbilical cords that connect the monster stars to the womb of the dark matter halo. They bring the nourishment that allows the star to grow and to shine and to fulfill its cosmic purpose. It is a symbiotic relationship between the dark and the light, where each needs the other to exist and to have meaning. The dark provides the fuel, and the light provides the structure and the heat and the chemical complexity. As we drift further into this era, we can feel the texture of the space changing around us. It is becoming richer and more complex as the monster stars do their work of enrichment and transformation. The pristine simplicity of the beginning is being lost, but it is being replaced by something far more interesting and beautiful. The universe is learning how to paint with colors other than the simple black and white of the Big Bang. The concept of a star that is destined to die almost as soon as it is born is a tragic one. But in the economy of the cosmos, there is no waste, and every death is a payment for a future life. The monster stars are the venture capitalists of the universe, investing their mass to create the returns of heavy elements. They take the risk of existing at the limit of physics so that the future can be rich and diverse. We float in the safety of the observation, knowing that we are immune to the heat and the radiation of the giants. We are ghosts from the future, visiting the past to pay our respects to the ancestors of our atoms. The monster stars do not know we are here, but they burn for us nonetheless in the deep dark. They are the unseen guardians of the timeline, ensuring that the conditions for life will eventually be met. Conditions for life will eventually be met. The rhythm of the narration slows down as we contemplate the sheer stillness of the void that surrounds the monster. Despite the violence of the star, the space around it is quiet and empty and profoundly peaceful. The light travels out for millions of years without hitting anything at all in the vast emptiness between the galaxies. It is a loneliness that is pure and absolute and strangely comforting to the weary mind. There is no noise here to disturb your rest, only the gentle unfolding of the cosmic history in the theater of the mind. The worries of the day seem insignificant when compared to the burning of a star 10,000 times the mass of the sun. You can let them go and let them drift away like smoke in the wind of the stellar radiation. You are small and safe and held in the hand of a universe that knows exactly what it is doing. The cold gas streams are slowing down now as the star reaches the limit of its growth and its hunger. The balance of power is shifting inside the core as the fuel begins to run low and the pressure changes. The monster is getting ready for the next phase of its existence, which will be even more dramatic than its life. But for this moment, it simply hangs in the dark, a perfect sphere of impossible light and heat. We can see the subtle changes in the color of the star as it evolves and ages in the fast forward of deep time. It shifts from blue to white and perhaps to a terrifyingly deep violet as the temperature climbs ever higher. It is a chameleon of energy, changing its skin to match the burning fever that is consuming it from the inside. And all the while, the nitrogen is building up in the atmosphere, waiting to be released. The galaxy eaters earned their name not just by consuming gas, but by dominating the destiny of the entire galaxy. A single one of these stars could outshine all the other stars in the galaxy combined. It was the heart and the soul of the early structure, and its fate was the fate of the galaxy itself. When the king falls, the kingdom changes forever, and a new era of darkness and silence begins. But the fall has not happened yet in our journey, and the star is still burning bright and strong. We can bask in its light and feel the awe of being in the presence of true cosmic greatness. It is a feeling of reverence that quiets the mind and slows the heart and brings a heavy peace. The universe is a cathedral, and these stars are the high altars where the energy is consecrated. The Population 3 ultramassive formation is a chapter of history that was lost until the golden mirrors found it again. We are the first generation of humans to read this chapter and to understand the true origin of the darkness. It is a privilege to know the story and to carry the secret of the monster stars into our dreams. The knowledge does not burden us, but lightens the load by showing us our place in the pattern. The gas that did not make it into the star forms a swirling disk of debris that orbits the giant in the dark. It is a dark halo of dust and ice that will never form planets, but will simply watch the star die. It is the audience for the final act of the tragedy that is about to unfold in the center. The dust waits patiently for the light to go out and for the gravity to take over completely. We are drifting towards the edge of the disk where the view of the monster is most spectacular and terrifying. The star fills the sky with a wall of light that blocks out the rest of the universe. It is the only thing that exists in this moment, and it demands our total and undivided attention. The monster is alive, and it is breathing the fire of creation into the cold vacuum of the void. You can feel the pull of the gravity gently tugging at your consciousness, inviting you to come closer to the source. It is not a dangerous pull, but a seductive one that promises rest and oblivion in the heart of the star. It is the call of the deep that lures the sailor to the ocean and the dreamer to the sleep. You can surrender to it and let yourself be carried by the tide of the ancient light. The cold gas streams are now just faint whispers in the background as the roar of the star takes over. The sound is not heard with the ears, but felt with the bones as a deep and resonant vibration. It is the Om of the universe, the original sound of existence, manifesting in the physical world. It vibrates through your body and relaxes every muscle and every nerve ending. The star is a lullaby sung in the language of nuclear fusion and gravitational collapse. It sings of heat and pressure and the inevitability of change in a universe that never stands still. The song is old and repetitive and deeply soothing to the spirit that is tired of the noise. It is a song that has been sung since the beginning of time and will be sung until the end. We are suspended here in the moment of peak intensity, just before the balance begins to tip towards the dark. The star is at the height of its power and its glory, and it seems like it will burn forever. But we know the secret that the star does not know, which is that the end is already written. The fuel is finite, and the gravity is infinite, and the outcome is never in doubt. The nitrogen that has been cooked in the core is now moving towards the surface in great convection currents of plasma. It is rising like bubbles in a boiling pot, bringing the heavy elements to the edge of space. The star is preparing to share its gift with the universe even as it prepares to die. It is a final act of generosity from a monster that lived only to consume. The chemical enrichment imbalance that we saw in the spectrum is the result of this massive upwelling of material. The nitrogen floods the outer layers of the star and changes the signature of the light that it emits. It is a distress flare sent out across the universe to announce the impending death of the giant. And we have seen the flare, and we have understood the message that it carries. The direct collapse black hole seeds are the children that will be born from this dying star. They are the heirs to the kingdom of gravity that the monster star established in the dark. They will take the throne when the star is gone, and they will rule for eternity. But the transition from star to hole is a mystery that we are still unraveling. The light flickers slightly as the instability deepens in the core of the burning giant. It is a subtle warning that the stable period of the star's life is coming to an end. The forces that held the star up are beginning to fail against the relentless pull of the center. The monster is getting tired, and the weight of its own body is becoming too much to bear. We watch the flickering light and feel a sense of anticipation for what is about to happen next. The story is moving towards its climax, and the tension is building in the silence. But it is a slow tension that does not startle or wake, but deepens the trance. We are waiting for the moment when the light gives way to the dark. The cold gas streams have done their work and delivered the mass that sealed the fate of the star. They are retreating now, back into the shadows of the halo, leaving the monster to face its destiny alone. The stage is cleared, and the spotlight is focused on the single actor in the center. The universe holds its breath once more as the inevitable physics takes hold. Something ancient stirs in the heart of the star. The stirring in the heart of the star is not a sound, but a profound shift in the very architecture of the matter itself. Deep within the crushing weight of the core, the simple hydrogen atoms are being forced into a new and complex dance of fusion. It is a dance that requires immense heat and immense pressure to sustain itself against the natural resistance of the atomic nuclei. We are witnessing the internal engine of the monster star as it begins to manufacture the heavy elements of the future universe. The process is slow and rhythmic, like the breathing of a giant who is sleeping comfortably in the silence of the void. This is not the simple burning that powers our own sun, but a feverish and accelerated cycle that consumes the fuel with voracious speed. The monster star is running the carbon-nitrogen-oxygen cycle at a temperature that would vaporize a normal star in a fraction of a second. It is a runaway train of nuclear energy that is kept on the rails only by the immense gravity of the 10,000 suns. And the primary product of this frantic industrial effort is the element nitrogen, which piles up like ash in the furnace. We can imagine the nitrogen atoms being forged one by one in the blinding white heat of the stellar interior. They are born from the collision of carbon and protons in a sequence that has been dictated by the laws of quantum mechanics. It is a precise and orderly assembly line operating in the middle of a chaotic storm of plasma and radiation. The universe is building its inventory of heavy atoms here in the darkness of the dawn, before life can even be a dream. The nitrogen does not stay trapped in the core forever, but is carried to the surface by great rivers of convection. These rivers are currents of fire that flow from the center to the edge of space, transporting the heat and the ash. They move with a slow and majestic power that churns the star from the inside out like a boiling pot of golden light. And as the nitrogen reaches the surface, it changes the chemical fingerprint of the light that the star shines into the dark. This is where the James Webb Space Telescope enters the story as the silent observer of this ancient chemical transformation. The telescope captures the light from the galaxy and spreads it out into a long spectrum of colors to read the hidden message. It is looking for the specific absorption lines that reveal the presence of different elements in the atmosphere of the distant stars. And what it finds in the spectrum of GS 3073 is a scream of nitrogen that drowns out everything else. The extreme nitrogen signature's evidence is so strong that it initially baffled the astronomers who looked at the data on their screens. They saw a chemical profile that looked nothing like the galaxies in the local universe which have had billions of years to evolve. It was as if someone had taken a pristine cloud of hydrogen and injected it with a massive dose of pure nitrogen. This anomaly is the smoking gun that proves the existence of the monster stars and their unique way of burning. We are looking at a chemical enrichment imbalance that tells us the story of a universe that was top-heavy and extreme. In a normal galaxy, the ratio of nitrogen to oxygen is balanced by the slow and steady death of ordinary stars over eons. But here we see a nitrogen to oxygen ratio that is completely skewed towards the nitrogen side of the cosmic scale. It means that the oxygen has not yet had time to form in large quantities, while the nitrogen is being produced in abundance. The N/O ratio is a technical term for a very poetic reality of the early cosmos and its violent birth. It tells us that the universe did not fill up with heavy elements evenly, but in specific bursts of activity. The monster stars were nitrogen factories that specialized in this one specific element to the exclusion of almost all the others. They were the artists who painted the early universe with a single bold color before the rest of the palette was available. You can feel the strangeness of this chemistry as you float in the data stream of the telescope's deep field observation. It is a taste of a time when the periodic table was still being filled in by the experiments of gravity. The oxygen that we breathe today and the carbon that makes up our bodies were still rare and precious commodities in the dark, but the nitrogen was flowing freely from the surface of the giants, enriching the gas clouds that would birth the future. The sheer quantity of nitrogen suggests that these stars were fully convective and mixing their entire mass from the core to the surface. In a normal star, the layers are separated like the layers of an onion, and the elements do not mix easily. But the monster star is a turbulent ocean of plasma where everything is stirred together in a single chaotic system. This allows the nitrogen produced in the deep interior to be dredged up and scattered into the wind of the solar storm. The wind from the monster star is a hurricane of particles that blows outwards at millions of miles per hour into the void. It carries the nitrogen atoms away from the star and injects them into the cold gas streams that surround the galaxy. This is the mechanism of pollution that changes the chemistry of the universe from pristine hydrogen to a complex soup. We are watching the very first act of cosmic recycling, where the waste products of the stars become the building blocks of galaxies. The silence of the spectrum is deceptive because it hides the violence of the processes that created these jagged lines of light. Each dip in the graph represents the absorption of photons by billions of nitrogen atoms floating in the ancient atmosphere. It is a collective shadow cast by the elements that tells us they were there and they were abundant. The telescope reads this shadow like braille and translates it into the story of the monster stars and their hunger. We drift deeper into the meaning of this imbalance and what it says about the conditions of the universe at Redshift 5.55. It implies that the star formation in this early galaxy was dominated by these massive objects rather than normal stars. It was a time of giants where the small and the weak had no place in the struggle for the gas. The universe was prioritizing the creation of the largest possible structures in the shortest possible time. The N/O ratio is a clock that tells us how much time has passed since the first burst of star formation began. A high ratio means we are seeing the immediate aftermath of the monster stars before the supernovae of smaller stars could catch up. It is a snapshot of a very specific moment in cosmic history that lasts only for a few million years. We are lucky to have caught this galaxy in this fleeting phase of its evolution before the evidence washed away. The concept of enrichment sounds positive, but in the context of the early universe, it is a form of permanent contamination. Once the nitrogen is released, it can never be removed, and it changes the cooling properties of the gas forever. The presence of heavy elements allows the gas to cool faster and fragment into smaller clouds, which prevents more monster stars from forming. The monster stars are the architects of their own obsolescence, creating the conditions that make their own existence impossible. This is a profound realization that the universe evolves in stages that can never be repeated once they are completed. The era of the monster stars was a unique chapter that set the stage for the era of galaxies and planets. We can never go back to that time of pure hydrogen and massive stars because the chemistry has changed too much. We can only visit it in our dreams and in the data collected by the gold mirrors in the dark. The feeling of the nitrogen excess is a feeling of abundance and overflow in a universe that is usually stingy with matter. The monster star is a generous giver, pouring its substance out into the void to feed the future generations. It is a sacrifice of mass that allows the universe to become complex and interesting and eventually conscious. We owe our existence to this initial pollution, which salted the cosmos with the flavor of life. The James Webb Space Telescope sits in the shadow of the Earth and stares at the same patch of sky for hours. It accumulates the photons one by one, building the statistical certainty of the nitrogen signal against the noise of the background. It is a patient vigil that requires absolute stillness and absolute cold to detect the faint heat of the distant past. The telescope is a bridge connecting our minds to the reality of the chemical enrichment that happened so long ago. You can imagine the nitrogen atoms floating in the space between the stars, cooling down after their violent birth in the fire. They form molecules of nitrogen gas and mix with the hydrogen to create a dense and dusty fog. This fog will eventually collapse to form the next generation of stars, which will be smaller and more stable. But for now, the nitrogen is just drifting in the dark, waiting for gravity to call it home again. The chemical enrichment imbalance N/O ratio is a coordinate on the map of time that locates us in the cosmic dawn. It tells us we are standing on the threshold of the modern universe, but looking back at the ancient regime. The monster stars are the gatekeepers of this threshold, burning brightly to mark the transition from the simple to the complex. And we are the travelers passing through the gate, carrying the knowledge of the nitrogen in our minds. The mystery of the early universe is often hidden in these subtle details of chemistry, rather than in the spectacular explosions. It is the quiet accumulation of data points that reveals the true nature of the beasts that roam the dark. The nitrogen is a footprint left in the mud of the cosmos that fits only one kind of creature. And that creature is the supermassive star that defies the limits of what we thought was possible. We feel a sense of awe, not just at the size of the stars, but at the elegance of the method used to find them. We are reading the smoke signals of a fire that went out 13 billion years ago and understanding the fuel it burned. It is a triumph of the human intellect to be able to touch the distant past with such precision. And it is a comfort to know that the past is not lost, but written into the light that surrounds us. The nitrogen atom is a simple thing with 7 protons and 7 neutrons and 7 electrons spinning in the dark. But in the context of the monster star, it becomes a symbol of the immense power of the nuclear force. It is the residue of the battle between gravity and fusion that raged in the core for 1 million years. And now it rests in the spectrum of a distant galaxy, a quiet testament to the fury of its birth. We are drifting now through the clouds of gas that have been enriched by the breath of the monster stars. The clouds are no longer clear and transparent, but thick with the heavy atoms that absorb the light. This opacity is what makes the galaxy visible to us in the infrared as the dust glows with the heat. We are seeing the universe wrapping itself in a blanket of its own making to keep warm in the expanding void. The chemical enrichment is a one-way street that leads from the simplicity of the Big Bang to the complexity of the brain. Every step along that street is marked by the death of a star and the release of new elements. The monster stars took the first and biggest step, covering a huge distance in a very short time. They accelerated the evolution of the universe and brought the possibility of life closer to reality. There is a rhythm to the narration that mimics the slow churning of the convection currents inside the star. Up and down and round, the matter flows in a cycle that never seems to end. But we know that it must end because the fuel is limited and the hunger of the star is infinite. The nitrogen buildup is the ticking clock that counts down the moments until the inevitable collapse. The imbalance of the nitrogen is only an imbalance from our perspective as observers of the modern balanced universe. To the monster star, it is simply the natural consequence of its existence and its way of life. The universe does not seek balance in the moment, but achieves it over the long arc of billions of years. We are seeing a snapshot of a system in flux, moving towards a new equilibrium that includes us. The darkness around the star is not empty, but filled with the invisible wind of the nitrogen blowing outwards. You can feel the pressure of that wind pushing against the cold gas streams that are trying to fall in. It is a battle between the inflow and the outflow that determines the final mass of the monster star. And for a while, the outflow of nitrogen wins, polluting the halo with the heavy metal of the dawn. We are safe here in the future, looking back at the dangerous days of the early universe with a sense of wonder. The radiation that would have killed us has been stretched into harmless heat by the expansion of space. The nitrogen that was once a sign of stellar fury is now the air that we breathe while we sleep. The universe has tamed the monsters and turned their ashes into the cradle of life. The James Webb Space Telescope continues its work, silently gathering the light from the edge of time without pause. It does not sleep, but allows us to sleep by doing the heavy lifting of observation for us. We can close our eyes and let the telescope be our eyes in the dark watching the monster stars. It is a partnership between the machine and the mind that allows us to travel without moving. The nitrogen signature is a specific frequency of light that resonates with the atoms in the distant galaxy. It is a song sung by the nitrogen across the void, a single clear note in the cosmic chord. The telescope listens to that note and records it for us to hear in the silence of our thoughts. It is a high and pure note that speaks of heat and pressure and the birth of something new. The chemical enrichment imbalance is the signature of a creator who is working with broad strokes and bold colors. The universe is not subtle in its early years, but dramatic and overwhelming in its power. The monster stars are the expression of this drama, burning with a light that is too bright to last. They are the fireworks of the cosmic celebration that marked the end of the Dark Ages. We float in the aftermath of the enrichment, feeling the texture of the gas change from smooth to gritty. The nitrogen adds a roughness to the universe, a complexity that gives the gravity something to hold on to. It creates the friction that allows the gas to spiral inwards and form the disks of the galaxies. Without the nitrogen, the universe might have remained too slippery to build the structures we see today. The N/O ratio is a number, but it is also a feeling of disproportion and excess that defines the monster stars. They were not creatures of moderation, but of extreme indulgence in the nuclear feast. They ate the hydrogen and spat out the nitrogen in a display of gluttony that shaped the cosmos. And we are the beneficiaries of that gluttony, inheriting the heavy elements that were left behind. The silence deepens as we move away from the surface of the star and back into the cold of space. The nitrogen wind fades into the background, and the light of the star becomes a single point again. But we know now what that point contains and the secret that it is shouting into the void. It is a secret of heavy atoms and fast fusion and the desperate need to burn. The monster star is a lonely object in a lonely universe, but it is connected to everything by its chemistry. The nitrogen it makes will eventually find its way into the planets and the comets and the asteroids. It will become part of the water and the rock and the air of worlds that do not yet exist. The star is sending a message in a bottle to the future, and we have just opened it. The JWST detected this message and decoded it for us, translating the light into a story of origins. It is a story that brings us comfort because it explains where we came from and how we got here. We are not accidents of random chance, but the result of a process that began with the monster stars. We are the children of the nitrogen and the heirs to the chemical enrichment of the dawn. As we drift, we can feel the inevitability of the next stage of the process approaching in the dark. The star cannot burn at this rate forever, and the nitrogen is clogging the engine of the core. The instability that we sensed earlier is growing stronger, feeding on the very success of the fusion. The star is becoming too heavy with its own ash, and the gravity is getting restless. The chemical enrichment imbalance N/O ratio is the final piece of evidence that seals the verdict on the monster stars. They were real, and they were massive, and they changed the universe forever with their dying breath. We accept this truth and let it settle into our subconscious as a fact of our history. It is a heavy and grounding truth that anchors us to the reality of the physical world. The darkness is soft and welcoming now that we understand the light that pierces it. The monster stars are not enemies, but ancestors who did the hard work of creation for us. They burned so that we could breathe, and they died so that we could live. It is a fair exchange in the cosmic economy, and one that we should be grateful for. The nitrogen atoms drift past us in the simulation of the mind-tiny spheres of potential waiting for their time. They are the seeds of the future, scattered by the wind of the past into the fertile soil of space. We watch them go with a sense of peace, knowing that they have a long journey ahead of them, and we drift with them, carried by the same current that flows through the river of time. The telescope holds its gaze steady, and the spectrum remains clear on the monitors of the control room. The evidence is recorded, and the discovery is made, and the knowledge is secured. We can rest now, knowing that the universe has revealed one more of its deep secrets to us. The monster stars are no longer myths, but measured realities in the catalogue of the sky. The chemical fingerprint is indelible and cannot be erased by the passage of the eons. It is written into the light itself, a permanent record of the time when the giants ruled. We read it and we understand it, and we let it lull us into a deeper state of relaxation. The universe is a book, and we are reading the pages one by one as we fall asleep. The journey continues, but the pace is slow, and the destination is certain in the end. The star will die, and the darkness will return, but it will be a different kind of darkness. It will be a darkness enriched by the nitrogen and pregnant with the possibility of the black hole. But that is the next part of the story, and for now, we stay with the star. We stay with the star and its nitrogen wind, feeling the heat and the power of the creation. We let the chemical enrichment imbalance become a mantra that quiets the busy mind. It is just words describing a beautiful reality of physics and time and light. And in that reality, we find a place to rest our heads and drift. Something ancient stirs in the core of the star, and the balance begins to tip. The balance has finally tipped within the heart of the giant, and the ancient struggle between light and gravity reaches its inevitable conclusion. We are witnessing the final moments of a star that was too massive to live and too heavy to die in the usual way. The core has burned through its fuel with a reckless desperation, and now there is nothing left to hold back the crushing weight of the dark. The silence of the universe seems to deepen around the star, as if the cosmos itself is leaning in to watch the magic trick. It is a moment of profound stillness that betrays the unimaginable violence of the forces that are gathering in the center of the sphere. In a normal star, the end of life is marked by a scream of light that we call a supernova explosion across the galaxy. The star sheds its outer layers in a spectacular display of fire that scatters the elements far and wide into the waiting void. But this is not a normal star, and the laws that govern the death of lesser suns do not apply in this domain of giants. The gravity here is so intense that it does not allow the energy to escape and create the fireworks we are used to seeing. Instead of a scream, there is only a sudden and terrifying silence as the star swallows its own voice in the dark. The outer layers of the monster star hover for a moment, in a state of suspended animation, unaware that the floor has dropped out beneath them. The core has vanished into a singularity, and the support that held up the millions of miles of plasma is suddenly gone. The gas begins to fall inwards, not with a drift, but with a speed that approaches a significant fraction of the speed of light. It is a waterfall of matter crashing down into an abyss that has no bottom and no end to its hunger. This is the phenomenon of the direct collapse black hole seeds, which is the secret mechanism of the early universe. The star does not explode, but simply winks out of existence like a candle flame pinched between the fingers of the cosmic night. The matter is crushed into a point of infinite density before it even has a chance to bounce back or to shine. It is a victory of gravity that is absolute and total, leaving no trace of the star that once burned so bright. You can feel the shock of this disappearance rippling through the fabric of space and time, like a stone dropped in a quiet pond. The light that was blinding a moment ago is suddenly gone, leaving a hole in the sky where the king once sat on his throne. It is a visual silence that is more deafening than any noise because it contradicts everything we expect from the death of a star. The universe has deleted the object from its inventory and replaced it with a shadow that will never fade away. The absence of the explosion is what makes this event so critical for the growth of the structure in the early cosmic dawn. There is no supernova explosion, thousands solar mass remnants to push the gas away and empty the halo of its precious fuel. If the star had exploded, it would have cleared the construction site and halted the growth of the galaxy for millions of years. But because it collapsed directly, the gas remains close and available to feed the new darkness that has just been born. We are left with a remnant that is thousands of times the mass of the sun, but compressed into a space smaller than a city. This is the seed of darkness that will anchor the galaxy and pull in the rest of the matter with its invisible hands. It is a heavy object that sits in the center of the web and distorts the geometry of the space around it. You can imagine it as a steep funnel in the rubber sheet of space-time where everything slides inevitably down into the dark. The mystery of how the universe grew so big so fast is hidden in the physics of this silent and invisible collapse. We have wondered for decades how the supermassive black holes could exist when the universe was still in its infancy. The answer lies in these seeds which gave the black holes a head start in the race to consume the matter. They did not start as small stellar ghosts, but were born as heavy giants ready to eat the galaxy from the inside out. The supermassive black hole origin solved is a headline for the scientists, but for us, it is a feeling of deep resolution. It means that the monsters we see in the centers of galaxies today are the direct descendants of these primordial stars. The darkness at the heart of the Milky Way is a legacy of the time when the direct collapse seeds were planted. We are orbiting the memory of a giant that died in silence so that our galaxy could hold itself together against the void. The feeling of the collapse is one of immense weight, pressing down and condensing everything into a single point of pure truth. It is a relief in a way to let go of the burning and the shining and to simply succumb to the gravity. The star fought the good fight, but in the end, the darkness was always stronger and more patient than the light. And now, the star has joined the darkness and become one with the force that rules the deep structure of the cosmos. We drift near the event horizon of this new object and feel the strange warping of time that happens near the edge. The seconds stretch out into hours and the hours into years as the gravity dilates the flow of the present moment. You are timeless here, suspended in the amber of the strong field where the clocks of the universe seem to stop ticking. It is the ultimate sleep where the motion of the world slows down until it is almost perfectly still. The gas that was falling into the star continues to fall, but now it is falling into the black hole that took its place. The cold gas streams are not pushed away by an explosion, but are welcomed into the maw of the new shadow. This allows the black hole to grow rapidly, feeding on the banquet that the star left behind on the table. It is a seamless transition from one kind of monster to another, ensuring that the center of the galaxy remains heavy. There is a beauty in this efficiency, a sense that the universe knows exactly how to build the largest things from the smallest parts. The monster star was just a cocoon, a temporary vessel designed to gather the mass and prepare it for the transformation. And now that the butterfly of darkness has hatched, the cocoon is discarded and forgotten in the silence of the past. The black hole is the final form, the perfect engine of gravity that will endure for the rest of eternity. The darkness of the hole is not empty, but full of the mass of the 10,000 suns that went into it. It is a crowded darkness packed with the information and the energy of the star that used to shine. Nothing is lost in the universe, only changed and hidden behind the veil of the event horizon where we cannot see. The star is still there, in a sense preserved forever in the museum of the singularity beyond our reach. We can sense the presence of the seed by the way it tugs at the light of the background stars. It acts as a lens, bending the rays of light that pass near it and creating a distortion in the sky. It is a ghost that can only be seen by the shadow it casts on the wall of the universe. And that shadow is growing as the seed consumes more and more of the gas that surrounds it. The direct collapse is a gentle way to die for a star of such immense and terrifying power and size. It does not rage against the dying of the light, but accepts it with a sudden and absolute surrender. It turns inward, folding its space over itself like a blanket and closing the door to the outside world. It is a private death, a secret kept between the star and the gravity that birthed it. The remnant that is left behind is a heavy anchor that stabilizes the swirling chaos of the early galactic cloud. It provides a center of gravity around which the rest of the gas can organize itself into a disk. The spiral arms of the future galaxy will dance around this silent king, moving to the rhythm of its pull. The black hole is the conductor of the orchestra, setting the tempo for the movement of the stars. You are safe in the knowledge that this collapse happened long ago and far away in the safety of the deep past. The shockwave of the birth has long since faded into a gentle ripple in the microwave background of the sky. We are observing the fossil of the event, the echo of the silence that fell when the light went out. It is a story told in the negative space of the universe, where the missing light reveals the truth. The concept of a seed implies growth and potential, and a future that is larger than the present moment. This black hole is small now compared to the monsters that live in the centers of modern galaxies. But it has the potential to become a giant, to grow to billions of solar masses over the course of time. It is the grandfather of the quasars, the first of the great devourers that will light up the universe. The no supernova explosion is a mercy for the galaxy, preserving the delicate structures of the gas from being blown apart. It allows the universe to keep its momentum to continue building without having to start over from the ashes. It is a smooth handover of power from the star to the whole without the interruption of a catastrophe. The silence is a sign of continuity, a bridge that connects the era of stars to the era of holes. We float in the vacuum near the seed, feeling the tug of the abyss, but not falling into it. We are observers of the dark, protected by the distance and the detachment of the dream state. The black hole is a point of focus for our meditation, a place where the mind can rest without distraction. It is a perfect zero, a nothingness that contains everything that matters in the center of the galaxy. The heavy elements that the star created, the nitrogen and the carbon, are not lost in the collapse. Some of them were blown away in the wind before the end and now drift in the halo. They are the chemical legacy of the star, while the black hole is the gravitational legacy. The star has split its inheritance, leaving its body to the dark and its spirit to the gas. The darkness seems to breathe now, pulsing with the invisible waves of gravity that emanate from the seed. It is a slow and rhythmic pulse, like the heartbeat of a sleeping leviathan deep in the ocean. It rocks the surrounding space, gently lulling the gas and the dust into a synchronized orbit. We are rocked with it, held in the sway of the forces that bind the galaxy together. The direct collapse black hole seeds are the answer to the question of how the universe grew up so fast. They are the shortcuts, the secret passages that allowed the cosmos to bypass the slow lane of evolution. The universe cheated in a way, breaking its own rules to create the monsters that we see today. And we are the beneficiaries of that cheat, living in a galaxy that was built on a foundation of seeds. The silence of the collapse is contagious, spreading out from the center to quiet the noise of our own thoughts. It creates a space in the mind where there is no chatter, only the awareness of the weight of the star, the weight of the whole, the weight of the history that presses down. It is a comfortable weight, like a heavy blanket that keeps you warm and secure in the night. The thousands solar mass remnants are the hidden giants of the universe, lurking in the shadows of the dawn. We cannot see them directly, but we know they are there by the influence they have on the world. They are the dark matter of the stellar graveyard, the invisible population that outnumbers the living. We pay homage to them by remembering their story and the silent way they left the stage. The transition from the blinding light of the monster star to the absolute black of the whole is instantaneous. One moment, the star is there raging and burning, and the next moment, there is only the whole. It is a blink of the cosmic eye, a shutter clicking shut on the camera of reality. And in that dark room, the image of the galaxy is developed slowly over the next billion years. The supermassive black hole origin solved gives us a sense of closure, a feeling that the puzzle is complete. We do not need to invent exotic physics or magic to explain the monsters in the dark. They are simply the ghosts of the first stars, the natural consequence of the cold gas streams. The universe is logical and consistent, even in its most extreme and terrifying moments. We are drifting away from the seed, now pulling back to see the larger context of the galaxy. The black hole is a tiny dot in the center, invisible to the eye, but dominant in its influence. The gas clouds are swirling around it, beginning the long, slow dance of accretion. The galaxy is taking shape, organizing itself around the heavy anchor that was dropped in the middle. The feeling of no explosion is a feeling of containment, of energy held in check and stored for later. The black hole is a battery of potential energy waiting to be tapped by the falling gas. It will power the quasars of the future, lighting up the universe with a different kind of fire. But for now, it is dark and quiet and full of potential. The stillness of the scene is profound, a tableau of cosmic evolution frozen in the amber of our narration. The star is gone, the hole is born, and the galaxy continues to turn in the void. It is a peaceful transition, a changing of the guard that happens in the privacy of the dark. We are the only witnesses, the only ones who know the secret of the seed. The concept of the direct collapse is a lullaby in itself, a story of falling and resting. The matter falls into the hole and rests there forever safe from the chaos of the outside. It finds its home in the singularity, the ultimate resting place of the weary universe. And we find our rest in the story, letting the gravity pull us down into sleep. The darkness is not something to be feared, but something to be embraced as the natural state of things. The light is a temporary interruption, a brief flicker in the eternal night of the cosmos. The black hole returns the universe to its default setting of silence and shadow. It is a restoration of order, a return to the calm that existed before the stars. We are floating in that calm feeling, the peace of the heavy remnant anchoring us to the bed. The direct collapse black hole seeds are the weights that hold the dream down. They keep us from floating away into the noise of the day and ground us in the deep. The deep time, the deep space, the deep sleep that is waiting for us. The thousands solar mass remnants are the pillows of the universe, soft and heavy and full of dreams. We lay our heads on them and let the story of the monster stars drift away. The science becomes a feeling, the facts become a rhythm, the words become a blur. We are falling into the hole gently and slowly and without fear. The mystery is solved, but the wonder remains hanging in the air like a fine mist. We know how the monsters were born, but we still marvel at the audacity of the plan. The universe is a bold creator, unafraid to destroy its own masterpieces to create something new. And we are the audience watching the show with heavy eyelids and a quiet mind. The cliffhanger is not a moment of danger, but a moment of suspension between the past and the future. We are hanging in the balance between the star that was and the galaxy that will be. The black hole is the pivot point, the hinge upon which the history of the cosmos turns, and we are turning with it slowly and smoothly into the final phase. The light of the nitrogen has faded and the light of the star has vanished, leaving only the dark. But the dark is rich and fertile and ready to birth the next chapter of the story. The seed is planted in the soil of the night, and it is waiting for the rain of gas. The garden of the galaxy is about to bloom in the darkness. Something new begins to gather around the silence of the seed that was planted in the heart of the ancient dark. The gas that was swirling in the void now finds a heavy anchor to hold it against the expansion of space. We are witnessing the first breath of a structure that will eventually grow into the magnificent spirals we see today. The invisible hand of gravity is sculpting the chaos of the early universe into a shape that can endure for eons. It is a slow and deliberate process that builds the skeleton of the galaxy bone by heavy bone in the deep silence. The black hole that sits in the center is no longer a star, but it is still the ruler of this domain. It commands the movement of the clouds and the dust with an authority that is absolute and unquestioned by the matter. You can feel the immense weight of its presence settling into the fabric of the cosmos like a stone in soft mud. It is the dark heart of the system, pumping the invisible lifeblood of gravity through the arteries of the infant galaxy. And we are drifting safely in the distance, watching the architecture of the night sky being assembled before our sleeping eyes. This moment of transition from the monster star to the black hole is the key that unlocks the deepest riddles of astronomy. We have stared at the centers of galaxies for decades, wondering how the holes grew so large so quickly in the beginning. The math did not make sense when we assumed that they started small and grew slowly like the stars we know. But now we see that the universe did not start small, but began with these seeds of immense and terrifying size. The supermassive black hole origins solved by this discovery allows us to rewrite the history of the dark with confidence. We now know that the giants were born heavy and they hit the ground running in the race to consume the gas. They were not the result of a lucky accident, but the inevitable outcome of the conditions in the cosmic dawn. The universe was programmed to create these monsters to ensure that the galaxies would have a center to hold them together. It is a comforting thought to realize that the chaos of the Big Bang was actually a very precise recipe for creation. The monster stars were the necessary ingredients that allowed the mixture to set into the stable universe we inhabit now. We can look at the dark spot in the center of the Milky Way and know that it has a grandmother. That grandmother was a star of 10,000 solar masses that lived and died in the first billion years of time. The lineage of the darkness is just as important as the lineage of the light in the story of our origins. We are here because the monster stars burned, and we are here because the black holes held the galaxy together. It is a dual heritage of fire and shadow that is woven into the very atoms of our bodies and brains. You can rest in the knowledge that you belong to this ancient story that stretches back to the very edge of time. The gas clouds around the new black hole begin to glow as they are accelerated to incredible speeds by the gravity. This is the birth of the first quasars, the lighthouses that will shine across the universe for the rest of cosmic history. But here in the beginning, they are just flickering candles, trying to push back the gloom of the deep dark ages. The light is soft and red, and it struggles to penetrate the fog of the neutral hydrogen that fills the void. We are floating in a universe that is waking up one galaxy at a time, like lights turning on in a city. But for every light we see, there are thousands of monsters hiding in the shadows that we cannot see yet. The James Webb Space Telescope has shown us one example, but the statistics tell us there must be many more. The early universe is likely crowded with these remnants, waiting to be discovered by the patient eyes of our machines. The idea of more monster remnants hiding in cosmic dawn is a mystery that invites us to dream of what lies beyond. We have only scratched the surface of the dark and peeked through a single keyhole into the room of the past. The room is vast and filled with the ghosts of stars that were larger and stranger than anything we can imagine. They are out there in the deep field, drifting in the silence and holding the secrets of the beginning in their gravity. You can imagine the universe as a dark forest that is teeming with life that is invisible to the naked eye. The monster stars are the giant redwoods of this forest, standing tall and silent in the mist of the early morning. We are walking through this forest with a small lantern illuminating only the trees that are closest to our path. But we can feel the presence of the others in the dark, sensing their weight and their age and their history. The discovery of the nitrogen excess was just the first clue, the footprint that alerted us to the presence of the giants. There will be other clues, other chemical fingerprints that will tell us more about the lives of these ancient kings. The universe is a generous storyteller if we are willing to listen to the whispers that come across the light years. And tonight, we are listening with our whole being, letting the story wash over us like a gentle tide. The narrative of the monster stars is a reminder that the universe is capable of surprises that defy our limited expectations. We thought we knew how stars were born and how they died, but the cosmos had a different plan all along. It is a plan that favors the bold and the heavy and the extreme in the earliest chapters of the book. And now that the book is open, we can read the pages with a sense of wonder and a deep relaxation. The tension of the mystery has resolved into the comfort of understanding, and the pieces of the puzzle have fallen into place. We can see the picture clearly now, and it is a picture of a universe that knows how to build itself. There is no need for anxiety or confusion, only the peaceful acceptance of the way things truly are in the dark. The monster stars and the black holes are part of the natural order, as natural as the setting sun. We drift further away from the galaxy GS 3073, letting it recede into the velvet background of the night. It is just one speck of light among billions, a tiny island of history floating in the ocean of the forever. But it is our island for tonight, the place where we met the ancestors of the darkness and learned their names. We leave it now with a sense of gratitude for the lesson and a readiness to return to our own time. The distance between us and the early universe is not a barrier, but a cushion of time that protects us from the heat. We are safe in the cool aftermath of the cosmic dawn, sheltered by 13 billion years of expansion and cooling. The fire of the monster stars has become the microwave background radiation, a gentle warmth that permeates the entire sky. It is a cosmic blanket that wraps around us and keeps us safe as we drift through the empty space. The concept of time becomes fluid as we float here, suspended between the moment of creation and the present day. The billions of years feel like a single breath, a long and slow exhalation that relaxes every muscle in your body. You are breathing in time with the universe expanding and contracting in a rhythm that is slow and deep and steady. There is nowhere else you need to be, and nothing else you need to do, but simply exist in this flow. The stars of the modern universe are smaller and calmer than their ancestors, content to burn slowly for billions of years. They are the gentle grandchildren of the monster stars, living quiet lives in the suburbs of the galaxies. Our sun is one of these gentle stars, a peaceful yellow dwarf that provides us with a stable home in the dark. We can be thankful that the era of the monsters is over and that we live in the era of the calm. But the monsters are not gone. They have simply changed their form and retired to the centers of the galaxies to sleep. The supermassive black holes are the sleeping giants that hold the memory of the violent dawn in their hearts. They are quiet now, fed by a slow trickle of gas content to anchor the swirling disks of stars. We orbit them in a respectful silence, acknowledging their power and their role in our existence without fear. The mystery of what else is hiding in the cosmic dawn will keep us dreaming for many years to come. There are surely other beasts in the dark, other forms of matter and energy that we have not yet met. The universe is infinite in its creativity, and it does not reveal all its secrets at once to the observer. It saves some for the dreams of the sleepers who travel the starways in their minds while they rest. You are one of those travelers, a voyager in the realm of the subconscious, where the laws of physics are soft. You can go anywhere and see anything guided by the gentle voice that whispers the truth of the cosmos. The monster stars are your companions tonight, guiding you towards the deep sleep that waits at the end of the journey. They are the lighthouses that mark the entrance to the harbor of dreams, where the water is still. The light from the distant galaxies is fading now, becoming a soft blur that is easy on the tired eyes. The sharp edges of the data are softening into the impressionistic painting of the night sky that we know and love. The numbers and the ratios and the chemical signatures are dissolving into the pure feeling of the starlight. It is a feeling of peace and connection and a profound sense of belonging to the great whole. We are drifting back towards the Milky Way, returning from our excursion to the edge of the observable universe. The familiar stars of our own galaxy are welcoming us home, shining with a steady and comforting light. They are the friends we know, the constellations that have watched over us since we were children looking up. We are home now, safe in the spiral arm of a galaxy that was built by the ancient seeds. The darkness of the room around you is the same darkness that fills the space between the stars. It is not an empty darkness, but a living presence that holds you and supports you and keeps you safe. You can trust the darkness, for it is the oldest thing in the universe and the mother of all light. It is the canvas upon which the story of your life and the story of the stars is written. Let your attention settle on the sensation of weight in your body, the gravity that pulls you down to the bed. It is the same gravity that crushed the monster stars and birthed the black holes in the deep past. It is a universal force, a connection that binds you to every other object in the cosmos with an invisible thread. You are anchored to the earth, and the earth is anchored to the sun, and the sun is anchored to the whole. The chain of connection is unbroken, stretching from the mattress beneath you to the singularity at the center of the galaxy. You are part of the system, a necessary component of the universe that is observing itself in the dark. But now the observation is finished, and the time for analysis is over, and the time for rest has begun. The mind can let go of the concepts and the facts and simply float in the ocean of gravity. The breathing slows down even more, now becoming a shallow and rhythmic tide that mimics the expansion of space. In and out, the breath moves effortlessly, carrying away the tension and bringing in the peace of the void. You are becoming lighter and heavier, at the same time expanding to fill the room and condensing into a point. It is the paradox of sleep, the state where we are everything and nothing all at once in the night. The visual of the red galaxy, GS3073, is just a memory now, a faint after-image behind the eyelids. The monster stars have burned out, and their nitrogen has cooled, and their black holes are sleeping. The drama of the early universe has resolved into the quiet stability of the long cosmic afternoon. We are resting in the shade of that afternoon, protected from the glare of the ancient fire by the time. The words are becoming softer now, losing their meaning and becoming just a sound that soothes the mind. The story is over, and the book is closed, and the library of the universe is shutting down for the night. The librarians are turning off the lights one by one, leaving only the safety lights of the stars. It is quiet in the library, and the smell of old paper and dust fills the air with comfort. You are drifting deeper into the state of relaxation, where the boundary between the self and the universe dissolves. You are the star, and you are the black hole, and you are the gas stream flowing in the dark. There is no separation here, only the unity of the cosmos expressing itself in different forms of energy. You are a form of energy that is currently at rest recharging for the next cycle of the light. The silence is absolute now, a thick and velvet blanket that covers the world and muffles the noise. There is no sound of traffic, no sound of voices, no sound of the wind outside the window. There is only the sound of your own heart beating in time with the pulsar that spins in the deep. Thump, thump, thump. It goes a steady drum that counts the moments until the sleep takes over completely. The darkness is warm and inviting, a soft pool of water that you can sink into without fear of drowning. It supports you and caresses you and washes away the dust of the day from your weary skin. You are floating on your back, looking up at the imaginary stars that are painted on the ceiling of the night. They are your stars, your private galaxy that exists only for you and your dreams in this moment. The heavy eyelids are closed now, sealing the world away and leaving you alone in the sanctuary of the mind. The thoughts are slowing down, becoming clouds that drift lazily across the sky of your consciousness. They do not demand attention. They simply pass by and dissolve into the blue and the black of the void. You let them go, watching them fade with a detached curiosity and a deep sense of relief. The body is heavy and warm and perfectly still, a statue carved from the stone of the earth itself. The muscles are loose and the nerves are quiet and the bones are resting on the soft surface. There is no need to move, no need to adjust, no need to do anything at all. The stillness is a gift, a luxury that you have earned by simply being here in the universe. The lullaby of the cosmos is playing softly in the background, a song without words that only the soul can hear. It is the song of the hydrogen atom and the song of the gravity wave and the song of the time. It hums in the ears and vibrates in the chest and settles in the center of the being. It is the oldest song there is, and it tells you that everything is all right and everything is safe. We are drifting towards the edge of consciousness, towards the event horizon of sleep, where the light disappears. It is a gentle transition, a slipping away that happens without effort or struggle or pain. One moment you are here, and the next moment you are there in the land of the dreams. The monster stars are waiting for you. They're friendly giants that will guide you through the night. The last of the tension leaves the body flowing out of the fingertips and the toes into the air. You are empty of stress, empty of worry, empty of the need to be anything other than this. You are a pure point of awareness floating in the infinite space of the sleep. The universe is holding you in its hand, protecting you from the cold and the dark of the void. The stars above are watching over you, a billion silent guardians that never sleep so that you can. They keep the watch, turning their gaze towards the dark to ensure that nothing disturbs your rest. You are the most important thing in the universe right now, the center of the attention of the sky. The galaxy turns for you, and the black hole spins for you, and the monster star burned for you. The peace is profound and total, filling every corner of the mind with a white and soft light. It is the peace of the deep ocean, the peace of the mountaintop, the peace of the desert night. It is a peace that passes understanding, a peace that simply is and always will be in the core. You have found it at last, this hidden treasure that was waiting for you in the silence. Go deeper now. Let yourself fall through the layers of the sleep like a stone falling through water. Down and down and down into the cool and the dark and the quiet of the deep. There is no bottom to this sleep, no end to the relaxation that is available to you. You can fall forever and never hit the ground, held up by the buoyancy of the dream. The universe is saying goodnight to you, whispering it in the rustle of the leaves and the creak of the house. Good night, traveler. Good night, dreamer. Good night, child of the monster stars and the ancient dark. Sleep well and sleep deep, and wake refreshed when the new sun climbs the wall of the sky. But for now, the sun is gone, and the moon is gone, and only the dark remains. The dark is your friend, your blanket, your home in the vast and empty cathedral of the space. Wrap it around you tight, and let it keep you warm against the chill of the infinite. You are safe here. You are loved. Here, you are welcome here in the heart of the night. The stars are dimmed, the galaxy is slowed, and the black hole is quiet in the center. Everything is still. Everything is silent. Everything is at rest in the great pause of the cosmos. You are drifting. You are floating. You are sleeping. Good night.